graduating today with an Associate of Applied Science in Surgical Technology. Please welcome Kat Willems.
Hello, everybody. Before anything, I'd just like to say congratulations to my fellow graduates, whether you're starting out as a career, you're going on to further education, or a combination of both. It is something to be proud of that your journey here at Northland is coming to an end, even though it feels kind of surreal. And I also want to apologize in advance if I cry. I tend to be a bit emotional. It only takes a Hallmark commercial. And when they asked me to do this, my first thought initially was that I'd rather be assisting in an open heart surgery because this is terrifying. But it's also an immense honor. My name is Kat, and I would like to tell you all a bit about my journey. 3 years ago, I was sitting in my living room, and my cousin and my now fiance, my new baby girl, and they were both attending UND at the time, and they were talking about the upcoming year. I felt a little out of place because, well, I wasn't a student. And when I tried to go to school the first time, straight out of high school, I failed. In spectacular fashion, I might add, but nonetheless, I failed. Chalk it up to being not ready, or perhaps choosing the wrong course of action or course of career. Either way, it was an epic fail. I carried that with me, and I never felt like school was ever an option after that. My fiance, Abdullah, always used to get very angry with me when I would tell people that I wasn't smart enough for something or I couldn't go back to school. And when the odd moment came up here and there, and the topic of going back to school came up, I promptly dismissed it. Generally, I was blaming it on the usual: money, not being smart enough, as the usual answer was, or even hiding behind my little girl. Fast forward a year, and then I started to get curious. Abdullah once again told me, go talk to them. So I did. I browsed the website. I'd even taken a tour of Northland years ago, and it seemed like a good fit, but I had no idea what I was going to go for. Then I stumbled across the surgical technology program. To be honest, I had no idea what it even was, or what they even did, so I did what I usually do, and I read about them. They are the ones who were there from start to finish for your surgeries, preparing for the surgery and making sure all of the instruments and supplies are ready, and to anticipate and assist the surgeon. And something about it struck me. Ha! It's Boki. She's the little Asian lady who somehow manages to be in every single surgery for Grey's Anatomy. And I was like, sure, yeah, I can do that. So I did it. I didn't tell anyone, not even my mom at first, till I actually enrolled and started. When I started, I felt like I was about 2 feet tall, and I was absolutely terrified. There were all these younger kids out of school. They were a lot younger than me. You know, they were concerned about moms stealing their phone chargers, and I was concerned about remembering to stop and pick up diapers on the way home from school. But I went head first, determined to do as good as I possibly could do. A couple weeks after the semester had started, I was feeling good about how classes were going. I liked my teachers, I enjoyed what I was learning. I was even starting to gain a reputation for talking a little too much in class. It's a unique experience being in Brent Braga's ethics class, which, by the way, is an entirely discussion-based class. And as he poses a question to the entire class, he says, "Does anyone have anything to add that's not named Kat?" Anyways, I was about to take my first exam, and I was up all night studying for it. My mom called me around midnight, and she told me that my aunt had passed away. So there I was, sitting there trying to figure out how the alphabet and numbers were supposed to get along, and all I wanted to do was run home, to be with my mom, to be with my family. But I didn't. I got up and I went to class. Excuse me. Okay, I told my teacher that she told me that I didn't have to take the exam that day. But I told her that no, I did have to. I didn't know it at the time, but that was the moment standing there talking to my teacher that I realized that this going back to school wasn't an experiment anymore. Before the exam started, I had to try and figure out how to draw my focus away from everything else, because focusing had never been my strong suit to begin with, but this was a whole new level. I left right before the class started, and I ran to the tech desk, and I asked for a Sharpie. And then I wrote the word Amira on the inside of my left wrist. That way, when my mind started to wander, I could just look, and I knew why I was there. I wrote her name on my wrist before every exam that I took at Northland, almost as if to keep reminding myself why I chose to take the leap of faith in the first place. And it worked pretty good. And from that first exam that I took at Northland to the moment here today that I stand in front of you, I've pushed as hard as I could. And much to my surprise, I didn't fail. Time started to fly by, and eventually it was over. Not without its challenges, of course. I am pretty confident in saying that each and every one of us here today has faced some challenges along this journey of ours, some more difficult than others. But challenges at Northland turned out to be unexpectedly easier to handle in many ways. For instance, in my second semester, I was told I had to have surgery on my elbow. The surgery was to take place before one of my psychology exams. Everyone knows David Christian does not allow makeup exams. He makes you write an essay. I'm not a huge fan of essays, so I told him that I would be there even if I was a little bit out of it. And he told me, no, you won't. And I proceeded to tell him that he proceeded to tell me that if I showed up, he would indeed kick me out of class. And no, he wasn't kidding. He wanted me to take the time that I needed to get better and to come back to class when I was good to go. He told me not to bother with the essay either. Take the exam as my dropped exam and get better. I was a little mad at him, I won't lie, because I was worried about my grades. And what if I needed this one because I got a bad grade on one of the other ones? He told me that he knew that I wouldn't get a bad grade. And it turned out that he was right. I had an instance where my little girl couldn't go to daycare one day, and I didn't want to miss my class. I asked Jeff Bell if it would be okay for me to bring her with to our anatomy and physiology class. And I would leave right away if there was a distraction. But there wasn't, and she did awesome. And I didn't have to miss my class. The start of the second year, my fiance Abdullah had to leave unexpectedly, return to his dad, who was sick. Obviously, I was crushed. I didn't want to have to do any of this alone. School, mom, work. But coming back to Northland was almost like a relief. I had made some wonderful friends, the people that I studied with every day in the cafeteria and the wonderful gals from the program that were with me. Excuse me. And even the staff. It's funny how even when these challenges that seemed so small felt 100 feet tall, that there was no way that I could climb over them. I never stopped to realize just how this environment at Northland made any of these challenges, big or small, just a little bit easier. From the smiles that greeted you when you walk in the door at the front desk every day, to the faculty and staff that did everything they could to make this experience such an amazing one, and those who genuinely wanted to see you succeed. And I personally would like to thank them all, especially Ruth, my program advisor and instructor. I feel beyond blessed to have had the opportunity to learn from you with the passion that you have for what you teach, and the support and the love that you give to each one of your students. You have made an enormous impact on my life as who I am as a person and who I hope to become as a surgical tech. As we leave here today and start the next chapter of our lives, I encourage you all to take a moment to thank the people who have supported you through all this so far. For me, it is 100% my family. My mother especially, who through her example taught me to never give up no matter what. My fiance for always reminding me that I was smarter than I ever gave myself credit for. And especially my daughter, who has a personality that is about 10 feet tall, and by simply existing makes me want to be a better person every single day. I leave you today with one of my favorite quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing as it comes along. You must do the things that you think you cannot. Once again, everyone, congratulations.